This is Todd Smallwood. He helped me create my salmon brining recipe and all the methods that you will see in the upcoming presentation to make excellent smoked salmon.
That looks like it's a better knife.
If your salmon should still have the rib bones in, it's necessary to remove them for proper smoking.
Because of
Here
the
you
skin.
can see excellent technique of bone removal, slicing right underneath the bones in the direction of the bones, down to the meat.
Oh.
Removing the collar and the fin is also recommended.
Cut it?
The belly can be left intact or and smoked right with the rest of it.
Can that be a piece in itself?
We'll go ahead and leave the belly on for this.
And you go about...
A 2 to 2.5 inch slice is optimum for smoking. Well done.
Yeah, that'll be about right. About what I cut mine in.
I usually cut mine skinnier so it gets cooked much faster.
Need a better knife. That's all.
These pieces are ready now to go into the brine.
No, don't worry about it.
Here are the ingredients that go into the brine. I usually start with 1 cup of canning and pickling salt, 2 or 2.5 cups of brown sugar, perhaps add some caro syrup or more brown sugar later if it's not sweet enough, black pepper, cayenne pepper, Cajun seasoning, squeezed garlic, liquid smoke, and a crushed up bay leaf. So here's the salmon all sliced up into 2-inch or slightly bigger pieces, waiting to go into the brine. The brine has now been placed with 2 gallons of water in this large pot. 1 cup of pickling salt, 2 cups of brown sugar, and 1/2 cup of white sugar. I will now place in the dry seasonings. Kind of a little bit of feel, but a layer of red pepper, a layer of cayenne pepper,
That was black pepper.
a layer of Cajun, some squeezed garlic, a dash of liquid smoke, maybe a teaspoon, and 2 crushed up bay leaves. Okay, we'll stir it up once again. Make sure all the sugar and salt is in solution and not on the bottom of the pot. And then
Did you put the brown sugar in already?
the brown sugar and the pickling salt are already in. We start placing pieces of salmon in there, and they will sit in this brine for 4 to 6 hours, although even longer is actually okay. I've even brined overnight and it's been fine. This is a lot of salmon. It's gonna take up probably all 5 racks
Gently.
in our smoker tomorrow. Once again, the fundamental of this is 2 gallons of tap water, a cup of pickling salt, 2 cups of brown sugar, and then 1/2 or 3/4 of a cup of white sugar until you get a taste that's a little salty and a little sweet at the same time.
Gently, honey. Just splashing.
Next step will be removing it from the brine, rinsing, and then drying on drying racks. And we'll see you back here for that. Here sits all the salmon in the pot and the brine. I will stir it around periodically, and the cooler a place that you can keep it, the better. So we will be putting this outside this evening. Welcome back. Here we have a bunch of drying racks set up. They each are raised an inch or so, and they enable the salmon to dry. Here's the salmon that has been brining now for about 12 hours. I will now remove each piece individually and wash the brine off in the sink, rinsing it all off, and then place them on the drying rack one by one. I remove the salmon from the brine, run cold water over it, and lay it on the sheet. And it's going to air dry now for about another 6 to 8 hours until it has a nice, shiny, hard pellicle on it, and would then be ready to be finished off before going into the smoker. Here you can see the pieces arranged in no particular order, just fit onto the drying tray. I'm going to pat them dry with a paper towel. And now they're ready to sit and dry for between 4 up to 8 hours. Even longer is okay. They'll eventually get a nice hard outer covering called the pellicle, and that enables them to keep their moisture in once they're smoked. There's all the salmon that has been rinsed, placed on drying racks, patted dry with a paper towel, and will now stay this way until the pellicle has formed on the outside. Notice I've cracked a couple windows to help get some fresh air in here and help the salmon dry out faster. Hello again. As you can see, the salmon's been drying now for probably about 7 hours. It's shiny and it has a tackiness to it. And then the next step would be applying a layer of brown sugar. The brown sugar gets spread over the top and will eventually caramelize. After that, I'll be sprinkling on some black pepper and some Cajun seasoning after it's caramelized, and then it's ready to go into the smoker. It's too soon, you gotta wait till. All right, this is the rack from the smoker. This salmon's already been transferred to a smoker rack.
Robert, the rack is on the salmon.
I'm applying a layer of pepper. This is already, the brown sugar is already caramelized. The more pepper, the better, in my opinion, but everybody. And then a layer of Cajun. When all racks are filled, I will take them down and put them in the smoker, just like this. So this is my smoker. This is a venerable old Big Chief smoker that has done a lot of fish over the years. It's now loaded with 4 racks of salmon. There's a 5th rack that is not being used. I didn't mention this, but it's important to put some olive oil or spray pan or something onto the racks so that the salmon skin doesn't stick to them as much in the smoking process. The reason for this cardboard box will be apparent in the next clip. This is the pan that is now filled with alder chunks. I prefer alder, but other kinds of wood also work great. I will usually use 2 or 2.5 pans for the entire salmon smoking process. The pan has now been placed above the coil in the smoker. The moving box has now been placed on top of the smoker to act as an insulator to help the smoker get heated up. Eventually we'll see smoke coming out the corners of the moving box, and the smoking process will be in progress. Most people who smoke things have a good fire story or two. That's why this is all on a paver, on gravel, away from the house. The process will take place over about 6 hours. Like I said, I use about 2 pans of chips, sometimes 2.5, and I test for readiness after about 5 hours just to see how the texture of it is. But the best thing is to just leave it unmolested and let the smoker heat up and do its thing. This is a happy sight for anybody smoking fish. That smoke coming out the corners of the moving box. I'm going to wait until all the smoke has stopped, wait another 15 minutes, then take the pan out, dump the ashes in my garden, and load up another pan of chips. And here we are, somewhere around 5 to 6 hours later. It's optional to put a little layer of honey on top just to sweeten it up if it tastes so salty to you. These are on drying racks, and they'll then be placed into a few Ziploc bags and put in the refrigerator for the next 12 to 24 hours, harden up a little bit, and then we either give them away, eat them, or vacuum seal them. And they're pretty much good for a long time once they're vacuum sealed and frozen. The lovely Orlinda.
That's all, folks.
I hope you've enjoyed this video. The methods are always subject to change based on individual taste and
Preferences.
smoking times can also vary depending on your smoker.
And season.
I just have this worked out as far as my Big Chief smoker methods that we've been using around here for years and years and years. Once the Big Chief no longer operates, I'll guess I'll try and find another one because I wouldn't know what to do without it. Wishing you the best in fishing and smoking. This is Bobo, out.